Real Madrid have become the first football club in the world to surpass €1 billion in revenue.
Every single year, we see the same headlines appear. Real Madrid becomes the first club in history to generate over €1 billion in a single year. This is the same club that spent €862 million renovating the Santiago Bernabéu and still pays benchwarmer David Alaba €432,000 a week, yet somehow couldn't afford Kylian Mbappé until he arrived on a free transfer. And that's where the confusion begins.
Kylian Mbappé has signed a new contract with Paris Saint-Germain.
Every summer, fans see their clubs announce record-breaking TV deals and still somehow find themselves asking the same frustrating question. If we're making all this money, why can't we just sign the player?
Everybody knows that Man United need a new goalkeeper.
Breaking news, Gianluigi Donnarumma has now signed that deal at Manchester City.
On the surface, this frustration makes sense. Football clubs have never been as rich as they are today. Take Real Madrid. In the 2024-25 season, they generated €1.2 billion in revenue. But after paying wages, travel, stadium costs, and everything else required to run the biggest club in the world, their profit was just €31 million. To put that into perspective, Premier League mid-table team Brighton made €60.2 million in profit that same year, almost double Real's take-home profit. And the deeper you look, the stranger it gets. FC Barcelona generated €916 million in revenue and still ended the year with a €17 million loss. Manchester United brought in €666.5 million, yet finished the season $33 million in the red. Even Paris Saint-Germain FC, after winning the UEFA Champions League and earning €145 million in prize money, they lost €60.3 million once wages of star players like Dembele, Hakimi, and Kvaratskhelia were paid. So, instead of asking the question how football's biggest clubs make money, there's a far more uncomfortable question we need to answer. If these clubs make hundreds of millions every year, why are so many of them still losing money? Because the deeper you dig into football's finances, the more uncomfortable the truth becomes. At the very top of the game, making more money doesn't just make clubs richer, it forces them to spend more just to stay at the top.
With just money, we're going to spend a lot of money in the next season as well. So maybe 1 billion or something like that. Don't worry.
At the end of the 2024-25 season, UEFA's financial reports revealed something shocking about London's second biggest club, Chelsea. Despite generating roughly £581 million in revenue from matchday tickets, shirt sales, broadcasting deals with Sky, player sales, and competition prize money, Chelsea still recorded a £355 million loss. That was the second worst financial deficit in Europe's top 5 leagues, only behind Ronald Koeman's chaotic 2021 Barcelona side that lost £409 million. And the reason isn't hard to find.
In other words, he reconfirmed that they had about €1.3 billion in debt.
Since taking control in 2022, Chairman Todd Bowley has spent between £1.2 and £1.5 billion on transfers, assembling what is effectively the most expensive squad ever built in football history based on accumulated transfer fees, meaning no other team has spent more money bringing in players than Chelsea. Not Real Madrid, not Paris Saint-Germain, not even Manchester City. Chelsea's starting 11 alone contains players bought for staggering amounts of money. Enzo Fernandez for over £100 million, Moses Caicedo for £115 million, and several other players signed for huge fees. The club's strategy was simple: spend aggressively, assemble a galaxy of £100 million players, win the Premier League and Champions League, and let the prize money pay for it all. But football doesn't work like that.
Chelsea are in action as we speak, but they've just announced that they have completed the signing of Mikhailo Mudryk. Ukrainian has signed for what we believe to be a fee that could rise up to £88.5 million.
Defender Wesley Fofana has now completed his move from Leicester City. It is a £70 million fee.
Alejandro Garnacho is going to become a Chelsea player. It's going to cost Chelsea a £40 million fixed fee.
A British record transfer that takes Moises Caicedo from Brighton to Chelsea for £115 million.
Because even the richest clubs still rely on revenue to fund their ambitions. Sponsorships like Fly Emirates paying Real Madrid around €58.5 million per season, or Etihad Airways paying Manchester City about £67.5 million are not just branding deals, they are the lifeline that help clubs afford the squads they build.
In one of the largest sponsorship deals in global sport, Spotify will become Barcelona's main commercial partner from the start of the 22-23 season.
Clubs gamble on success because the rewards at the top are enormous. The English Premier League paid champions Liverpool roughly £179.4 million, while Paris Saint-Germain earned about £114 million for winning the Champions League.
He criticised the Premier League. He said the Premier League is not financially sustainable. All the clubs make big losses, apparently. Even though they make big losses, they spend huge sums on transfer fees. Other leagues can't compete with the Premier League. I think it was pointed out that last summer the net spend in the Premier League was more than £1 billion in the summer transfer window. He said all the clubs in the Premier League lose money, there is no sustainability, the Premier League is not financially sustainable.
Because of all that, Chelsea bet billions hoping trophies would eventually pay for their spending spree, but instead the gamble backfired. Take 25-year-old centre-back Wesley Fofana. Chelsea bought him from Leicester City for £75 million and handed him a 7-year contract. Now here's where something called player amortization comes in. It may sound complicated, but the idea is actually simple.
And Wesley Fofana, who has now completed his move to the West London club from Leicester City. It is a £70 million fee plus a possible £5 million in add-ons.
In football, clubs don't usually pay their entire transfer fee in one season. Instead, they spread the cost of the transfer across the length of the player's contract. Think of it like buying a house on a mortgage. You might buy a £300,000 house, but you don't pay the full amount up front. You make smaller payments every year. Football clubs do the same with players. So, when Chelsea bought Fofana for £75 million on a 7-year deal, the cost of the transfer gets divided across those 7 years. That means Chelsea's accounts record about £10.7 million per year for the transfer itself. That's only half the story, because Chelsea also have to pay his wages, which are around £10.4 million per year. When you combine the transfer cost and the wages, Wesley Fofana alone costs Chelsea roughly £21.1 million every single year. And that's just one player. Now, look at Moses Caicedo, who Chelsea signed from Brighton for a staggering £115 million. He signed an 8-year contract, meaning the transfer is spread out over 8 years. That means Chelsea record about £14.4 million per year for the transfer. Add his £7.8 million in wages per year, and suddenly Moses Caicedo costs Chelsea around £22.2 million every year. Now imagine doing that for an entire squad. One player costing £20 million a year is manageable, but 10 or 15 players costing £20 million per year, that financial pressure becomes enormous. The wages pile up, the transfer costs pile up, and suddenly the club is committing hundreds of millions every single season just to maintain a squad they built, which leads to the obvious question: how do clubs actually afford this? Because if teams are spending billions on players and wages, the only way to sustain this is by generating even more money. And that's where the real engine of modern day football begins: revenue. Broadcasting deals, sponsorships, commercial partnerships, global fan bases. Understanding how clubs generate that money is key to understanding how the biggest clubs in Europe keep their entire machine running.
Liverpool, top British club for the very first time. What is the secret behind their rise up the table?
Well, they had a brilliant season on and off the pitch last year. They won the title, they were in the Champions League as well. And also commercially, they've been doing really, really well. And commercial income for the first time has overtaken broadcast income as to where clubs are making most of their money.
Okay, now let me show you how Europe's biggest clubs make their money. We'll use Liverpool's Premier League winning season for our illustration. The 2024-25 season was a successful one for the Merseyside Giants on and off the pitch. Winning the English Premier League for the first time since the 2019-20 season was a real game changer for them, and it is reflected in their finances. Look at this. Liverpool's biggest influx of revenue came from 3 major sources: matchday, broadcasting, and commercial revenue, which I will break down simply as we move. Because these 3 revenue streams weren't just income, they were financial lifelines that allowed the club to pay superstar wages, fund transfers, and stay competitive at the very top of the game. And once I explain these 3 revenue streams, you'll understand why these clubs are so desperate to keep these sources of income on a year-to-year basis. So let's break them down one by one, starting with matchday revenue. Matchday revenue, put simply, is the money a football club makes whenever fans come to watch a game at the stadium. This includes tickets supporters buy to get into the ground, as well as the money they spend inside the stadium on things like food, drinks, and merchandise. So, every time Anfield fills up to watch Liverpool play football, the club is generating matchday revenue. In the 2024-25 season, Liverpool's matchday revenue rose from 102 to 116 million pounds, a 14% increase. Two main things drove that growth. The first was the expansion of Anfield. Liverpool built a new Anfield Road stand, a £80 million project that added roughly 7,000 extra seats, increasing the stadium's total capacity to 61,276 fans who can have a sit and watch Liverpool inside the Anfield Stadium. More seats simply mean more tickets available for every home game, and when you multiply these extra seats across an entire season of matches, the additional income quickly adds up.
So here we are at Anfield after the completion of phase 2 of its redevelopment, bringing the overall capacity of the ground to 61,000.
Now we move to Liverpool's second biggest moneymaker in football, broadcasting revenue. Put simply, broadcasting revenue is the money a club earns by allowing TV networks to film their matches and stream them to billions of fans around the world. Fans who aren't sitting in the stadium but are just as valuable watching from home. And here's where it gets interesting. Broadcasters don't just pay for football, they compete for it. In the UK, companies like Sky Sports and BT Sport pay billions of pounds for the rights to show Premier League matches. Internationally, networks like NBC in the United States and Canal Plus in France also pay enormous sums just to bring the league into their regions. And the reason is simple. The Premier League has positioned itself as the most entertaining product in world football. Unlike leagues dominated by one or two super clubs, the Premier League sells unpredictability, the idea that any team can beat any team on any given Sunday. I mean, over a month ago on February the 18th, current league leaders Arsenal played soon to be relegated Wolverhampton Wanderers. After 60 minutes, Arsenal were leading 2-0, but Wolves would come back, score 2 goals, and they would share the spoils at the end of the game. That chaos, combined with elite production quality, is what draws broadcasters in. The result, the Premier League is broadcasted in 188 countries. It reaches a potential audience of 4.7 billion people and generates 4.5 million euros per year from broadcasting alone. That's more than La Liga and Serie A combined. Now here's a key insight. This exact same model applies to European football. Just like the Premier League attracts networks willing to pay billions for domestic rights, the UEFA Champions League does the same on a global scale. Broadcasters across continents fight for the rights to show Europe's biggest competition. In the USA, CBS Sports, with its now iconic panel of Micah Richards, Jamie Carragher, Thierry Henry, and host Kate Scott, has turned Champions League coverage into entertainment in its own right. So, when you hear clubs earning massive sums from broadcasting, it's not just local TV money, it's a global bidding war for your attention. And from that war, no club earned more in the 2024-25 season than Liverpool. They pulled in a staggering £263.7 million from broadcasting revenue alone. £175 million came from winning the English Premier League, and despite a round of 16 exit to eventual winners PSG, Liverpool earned £85 million for topping the league phase.
Sports Economics says the rest of European football could face the prospects of becoming feeder leagues to the Premier League, following the huge new TV rights deal announced on Tuesday. Sky Television and BT Sports agreed to pay more than £5 billion to show the English Premier League games for 3 seasons, beginning in 2016.
And commercial revenue is the third and most powerful way elite football clubs make money. Once again, put simply, commercial revenue is all the money a club makes from renting out its brand. The cash from sponsors putting logos on the kit, selling naming rights to the stadium, or selling official merchandise to fans. It's not about the football being played on the pitch, it's about how valuable the club's name is off the pitch. For example, Manchester City sold the naming rights to their stadium to Etihad Airways. That's why it's called the Etihad Stadium. The club is essentially renting out its identity to global companies, and the bigger the club is, the more valuable that identity becomes. Now, look at Liverpool. In the 2024-25 season, they generated £323 million in commercial revenue alone, a 5% increase from the previous year. Their main shirt sponsor, Standard Chartered, extended their deal until 2027, increasing payments from £40 million to £50 million per year. AXA pays around £20 million just to appear on Liverpool's training kit, and their deal with Adidas brings over £60 million per year before bonuses and shirt sales are even counted. So when you add up commercial revenue, broadcasting money and match day income, Liverpool brought in a massive £702.7 million that season, the highest in the club's 133-year history. Now, here's where most fans get misled, because this is where the headlines stop. But as we all know, there is two sides to a balance sheet, because a football club doesn't just get to keep that money. Out of the £702 million Liverpool made, £428 million alone was spent on wages and salaries. That's more than half their revenue, immediately gone. And this is what those wages actually look like in real terms. Mohamed Salah earns around £400,000 per week. That roughly costs Liverpool £26 million per year. Virgil van Dijk earns £350,000 per week, around £20.8 million a year. And then you've got the new signings. Take Alexander Isak, who left Newcastle United due to the Magpies' inability to pay him more than he thought he deserved. At Newcastle United, the Swedish striker earned £120,000 per week, costing the Magpies £6 million per year. But since his move to Merseyside, he saw those figures rise to £280 per week and costing the Reds £15.6 million per year. That's 3 times more than what he cost Newcastle United. Same player, completely different financial burden. So, when fans say we made £700 million, they're missing this. Revenue is not profit.